You wouldn't happen to be a doctor, would you? Because I happen to be looking for one.
You know your kind ain't welcome here.
Well, maybe not.
It looks like the wasteland is about to get a whole lot bigger because Fallout Season 2 is on the way, and the new images just dropped have given fans plenty to talk about. After its huge success on Prime Video in April 2024, the series became one of the most impressive game-to-screen adaptations in recent years. It managed to capture the chaos, dark humor, and bleak beauty of Bethesda's iconic post-apocalyptic world while also carving out a story that stands on its own. And now, Season 2 is heading somewhere very familiar to longtime fans, New Vegas. Even though the Fallout show doesn't directly adapt any of the games, it exists in the same universe. So the inclusion of New Vegas, one of the franchise's most beloved settings, has sparked a bunch of fan theories. Season 1 set this up perfectly when Hank, Lucy's father, fled toward the city in the final episode. Since then, speculation has run wild about how the story will tie into the events and lore of the Fallout New Vegas game. And the new images from Season 2 have only fueled that excitement. Prime Video released 7 new photos showing key developments for the upcoming season, including Maximus working more closely with the Brotherhood of Steel, Hank donning a new suit and Pip-Boy, and Walton Goggins Cooper in a pre-war version of Las Vegas. The idea that we're going to see what Vegas looked like before the bombs fell is fascinating, especially because that part of Fallout history has always been something of a mystery in the games. The most striking thing about these images is how they show New Vegas in all its pre-war glory, alive, vibrant, and untouched by radiation. In the Fallout New Vegas game, it was explained that Robert House, the CEO of Robco Industries, used advanced defense systems to protect the city during the Great War, leaving it relatively intact compared to the rest of the wasteland. But even though the city survived, House himself was left in a coma for decades, creating the unstable world we explore in the game. Seeing Vegas before everything fell apart will add a new layer to the story and help fans understand what was lost when the bombs dropped. We also know that Cooper, who later becomes the Ghoul, will play a big role in this storyline. His flashbacks in Season 1 were some of the most emotional moments in the entire show, revealing his life before the war and the tragic loss of his wife Janie. Now, the new season will dive even deeper into his past. It looks like we'll see him in pre-war Vegas, which might connect directly to what happened to Janie and why she played a part in the Great War itself. It's possible the show will explore how those choices shaped the man, or ghoul, Cooper eventually became. The connection between Cooper's past and Lucy's present seems to be a major thread running through the story. The fact that both characters are now heading toward New Vegas could be more than just coincidence. Lucy's journey with the Ghoul is bound to reveal hidden pieces of his history, and at the same time show us more about the city's transformation from the world's brightest playground into one of the wasteland's most dangerous frontiers. Another key reveal from the images is that Lucy's brother Norm is no longer frozen in cryogenic sleep. Fans will remember that he was trapped in Vault 31 by its overseer, who just so happens to be a brain attached to a Roomba. Now, Norm seems to be awake and interacting with other Vault 31 executives who are also out of stasis. That could open up an entirely new subplot involving Vault Tech, its twisted experiments, and how these executives might re-emerge in the wasteland. Since Vault Tech has always been one of the biggest mysteries in the Fallout universe, it's exciting to see that Season 2 might dig deeper into its shady history. What's especially interesting about all this is how Fallout continues to balance its own original story with elements from the games. The first season already showed how well the show can weave in familiar details like the Brotherhood of Steel, ghouls, and Pip-Boys, without copying the source material directly. It's a clever way of building a shared universe that longtime fans can recognize while keeping things unpredictable for newcomers. Bethesda's creative team is also getting involved to make sure everything stays consistent. In a recent interview, Fallout 76's creative director John Rush shared that the video game and television teams regularly talk to each other about how to align certain details. He explained that Fallout 76 is set much earlier in the timeline, around 2102, while the show takes place almost 2 centuries later in 2296. Because there's such a big time gap, they don't need to directly overlap, but they do sprinkle in some subtle connections. Rush mentioned that the goal isn't to tie the show and games together too tightly, but rather to keep them pretty simple and consistent within the same universe. That approach makes sense because Fallout thrives on flexibility. Each game, and now the show, focuses on a different path of the post-apocalyptic world with its own characters and tone. Rush also said that the TV series is very Fallout because it's made by people who genuinely love the games. That love shows in every detail, from the power armor designs to the dry humor scattered throughout. He even hinted that the TV and game teams have some future plans to line up certain releases and events, though he didn't give away any specifics. What all this means for Season 2 is that we can expect the show to dive even deeper into the Fallout mythology. The decision to explore New Vegas opens up a ton of possibilities for familiar characters and storylines to make their debut. Fans have already started speculating about who could appear next, and there are two standout names that would make perfect additions: Dog God and Joshua Graham. Dog God is one of the most fascinating figures from Fallout New Vegas. He's a Nightkin super mutant who suffers from split personalities. One side, Dog, is obedient and loyal, while the other, God, is independent and wise. The two personalities constantly battle for control, creating a tragic yet compelling character arc. In the game, he serves the Brotherhood of Steel's Father Elijah, who manipulates Dog's loyalty. The dual nature of Dog God makes him one of the most memorable characters in the franchise, and since Season 1 already hinted at super mutants, introducing him now would make a lot of sense. His story could bring both action and emotional depth to the next season. Then there's Joshua Graham, better known as the Burned Man. He's a legendary figure from the Mojave Wasteland, once a Mormon missionary who later helped Caesar create one of the most notorious factions in Fallout history, Caesar's Legion. After leading the Legion into defeat during the first Battle of Hoover Dam, Caesar punished him by setting him on fire and throwing him into the Grand Canyon. Against all odds, he survived, becoming a scarred and vengeful warrior who eventually leads the Dead Horses tribe. Graham's journey from preacher to warlord to redeemed leader is one of Fallout's most powerful stories, and bringing him into the show could perfectly tie into the introduction of Caesar's Legion. Including characters like Dog God and Joshua Graham would not only thrill fans of the games, but also expand the show's moral complexity. Both characters embody Fallout's recurring themes: identity, faith, survival, and the blurred line between right and wrong in a broken world. They'd fit perfectly with the show's tone, which constantly explores how people cling to meaning and power in the ruins of civilization. Even though Fallout Season 1 was already packed with lore, Easter eggs, and strong character development, it feels like Season 2 will push things even further. Seeing New Vegas before and after the bombs, uncovering more of Cooper's past, and revisiting Vault-Tec's experiments could make the new episodes even more ambitious. Plus, with the collaboration between the show's writers and the game developers, there's a real chance for deeper connections to emerge across the franchise, the kind that fans will analyze and debate for months. What's most exciting, though, is how the show continues to prove that video game adaptations can work, not just as fan service, but as genuinely great storytelling. While The Last of Us followed its source material closely, Fallout has taken a different route by crafting something new within a familiar universe. It's an approach that gives the writers more creative freedom while still respecting the tone and history that made the games beloved. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.